Silver's not just getting slammed, it's getting slaughtered. As of right now, it's at $49 and dropping. Then again, don't get too excited because price is one thing and possession is another. And in order to actually get an American Silver Eagle, you're still gonna have to pay well beyond 50, even 60, just to get one of these. So ask yourself, is the price of silver really dropping? Or has the silver spot price to the physical possession price going to continue to grow further apart? And that is worth talking about. All right, so I want to take a minute, share my 2 cents in reference to just the current silver price and gold price as well, and the desperation by the powers that be to continue to try to suppress the price beyond the fact that everyone, the space, knows exactly what's going on right now. But then again, when it comes down to the spot price and the actual physical price to go out and buy something, it's good to say you're not going to be getting silver under $50 right now. So once again, the actual possession price is 50 and above. And depending on what you're looking for, whatever your favorite coin or round might be, you're going to pay well beyond that. And so today I looked at the price of some silver eagles just to see what's going on online in particular. I'm sure if you probably go somewhere locally, you'll be able to get some deals or whatnot. But just looking online, if someone logged in and like, oh man, silver's down, it's below 50, let me go out and buy something. The question is what you're going to buy. And so beyond grabbing some cheap rounds, you're not getting any constitutional fund money, as I call it, in the silver eagles, which is what I prefer and have preferred forever, just because they are actually $1 coins, even though you wouldn't spend it for $1. Because right now, as I want to show you, they're closer to $60 plus. But anyway, just take a look at the current activity and just walk our way through it and try to understand silver slaughter, as I call it, is at this current moment, and how, because it's early morning, it's going to be short-lived because the physical accumulation is still heavy in the Eastern Hemisphere to the point where everything they're doing now is more so Western driven from the futures paper manipulation games that they've been doing forever. But as of right now, we got $4,100 gold and $49.03. And so literally the markets are just opening up over here. And so they're going to definitely try to dump more paper on it. But as I mentioned before, once the paper is dumped, then the people will still continue to go get physical. So one thing I wanted to touch on was the change in sentiment. And what I mean by change in sentiment, I'm seeing more and more people from the mainstream narrative share their 2 cents on this current gold rally in particular, because gold is the primary driver, and of course silver follows along. But let me share a headline with you that came out this morning, and it's like, outside of knowing the agenda to steer people in the opposite direction, it's just entertaining to see how people have to really become somewhat desperate. And so here's an article here that says gold may be in a bubble set to burst, economist warns. And so this is from investing.com this morning, early this morning, as the gold price and silver price started to make its way down. But real quick here, just to give you some ideas as to what narrative they're trying to spew out here to shake out some newbies perhaps, but those that are true, tried and tested, been around for any length of time, you realize possession is way more important than price at this current time. And so here it says, gold record-breaking rally could soon unravel, according to John Higgins, chief market economist at Capital Economics, who warned that the metals price has surged far beyond its fair value and may now be in a bubble territory. Now, so when you use the word fair territory, you got to use a better, I guess, clarification as to what fair actually means in a world of complete manipulation, when nation states, central banks have been racing to get gold. And so fair value to who? Fair value to people who stand to profit off the paper manipulation and all the other commercialized products that have been created within the system, or fair in reference to the average Joe and Jane that's trying to protect themselves from the diminishing of their purchasing power from their currency. So you got to ask yourself, who is he referring to when he's talking about fair? Those are just things I would wonder myself. And then it goes on to say here, it says, Higgins argued that gold's price has outpaced not only inflation, but also its historical relationship with other real assets. It says at the start of 2025, the price of gold was already close to its prior peak in real terms, which had it reached in 1980, he wrote. So once again, basing current price to previous events, especially 4 years ago, is not the most, I would say, just a proper way of doing it, because in 1980, there was a very, very, very small amount of M2, readily available cash in circulation, compared to what we have now, to the tune of trillions. Then it was, under a trillion, and now it is multiple trillion, unknown trillion. And so to say that 4,200-ish or whatever compared to, was it 1,000 or whatever it was back in the day, is like, okay, adjusted for inflation, or each ounce of gold needed to be, I guess, reallocated in accordance to the amount of currency in total circulation. So, once again, play on words, but I understand he has a part to play in trying to, drive some fear. It says, while gold's long-term role as a store of value is undisputed, Higgins said that latest surge can't be justified by conventional drivers such as lower real bond yields or high inflation. 100%. And so I'll just stop right there. So based upon just that short description there, or explanation from that economist there or investor there, the conventional drivers, we're past the point of conventional drivers. We're in the midst of, as I call it, a monetary reshuffling, a great reset, a great rebooting of the system. And of course, gold and silver has sniffed it out well before now. And it's just this the current administration that has been the driving force behind it, with the tariffs, with all the government issues, the riff and rap between the left and right paradigm, and the immigration issue, all the continuous divisive things that our government internally is going through, only adds fuel to the fire, where it forces nation states to realize that government liabilities, our debt market, as well as our currency, isn't that cream of the crop anymore. It's not the creme de la creme that everybody needs to run to and to hold. Even though it's not going anywhere, it's just not preferred. That's all. The world has been looking for alternatives for quite some time now, and it looks like there are a few different strategies that nation states are running to. And of course, gold is the numero uno. But then again, silver, from the average Joe and Jane, the average retail investor, silver at $49. As I look at it, let me just check, it might have gone lower. Silver at $49.11 is still the cheapest thing that a person can buy that has unlimited upside, because there is no ceiling to how much they're going to create of this stuff here. Therefore, purchasing power will be an issue. So as of right now, it's at 49. So it's moving. It's $49. And so a typical slam, according to what we've witnessed for the last several years of me talking through this stuff as we witness it, would simply be, a single percentage point in silver, or maybe 2 percentage points, at best, 20 cents, 30 cents, 40 cents, 50 cents. But when we get these abnormally large surges over the last several weeks, let me just zoom in here. When we get these abnormally large slams here, so let me just go the last 2 months. And so over the last 2 months, let me bring this here. Over the last 2 months, we have been climbing. So say just go back to August 19th. It was 37.39, August 19th. And then August 22nd, it was 38. And then September 1st, it was $40. So that's $4-ish. Or $3.50, $3.50 within a single week. So every week we've been climbing $3 to $4, give or take, these semi-large gains that I've never witnessed since rethinking the dollar myself directly. And so to get a pull down or a slamming from a high of 54 on October 16th, 5 days ago, to $49 now, that $5 is basically just a cooling off period, a slight, let me catch my breath moment type of thing. Because based upon the surge to this point, a simple correction or slam or a slaughter or whatever it's going to look like in the short term is very minuscule, to say the least. But then again, that's all talking about the spot price denominated in USD terms, which I believe there's a disconnect. There's a difference between the spot physical and the spot possession. Because once again, as I mentioned, today, even though the price is down, you're not going out and finding anything for less than $50. And so let me just share with you a different way of looking at this. And so I just typed in a couple of online dealers to find out what are Eagles going for. Because as I mentioned before, Eagles are the numero uno when it comes to US coinage, in my opinion. And so as of right now, just refresh this page, we're looking at just one. If you buy one single American Silver Eagle by check wire, you're paying $59. If you use Bitcoin, you're paying $60, $43. And if you decide to use a card, you're paying $62. So majority of people, depending on the quantity, just to say if you want to buy a single, a tube, you buy 20, you're paying $59.33. So you're only saving 50 cents, give or take. And if you're using card payment, you're saving once again 50 cents. So no matter what, at the end of the day, guess what you're paying? Roughly $60 or so for a single coin. And that's SD bullion. So let's go to JM bullion. So right now you have American silver eagle says as low as $58. But then once again, same thing. If you get a tube, 60, 60, 62. Let's go to Golden State Mint. Let's see what they're talking about. Same thing, silver eagle. If you want to buy a tube, you're going to spend 64 or 67. And so once again, pick your vendor. No matter what, when it comes to getting hold of a silver eagle, you're going to spend some money. And why is that? A part of it is the fact that even though silver eagles in particular are readily available, but then again, because it's real true money created or minted by the United States Mint, they're no longer supplying the amount that the demand warrants. And so literally having just these here on inventory, especially when it comes to monster boxes, these things here are creme de la creme. I keep using that word, but you get my drift. It's relatively scarce in comparison to the surge in demand. And so once again, possession, spot price, world's difference. So let's go real quick here. Lastly, I want to take you to just some things to kind of paint a picture and to highlight what's happening, how we arrived at this point where this morning looks to be so interesting. So here I found something from Old Pretender. Don't know anything about him, but the narrative, sounds interesting. Got 13,000 subscribers. So once again, just somebody who apparently is trusted enough to have a nice following. What it says here, someone is paying an exorbitant 19.23% interest rate to borrow SLV shares to short silver market today, a sure sign of desperation. And then he shows some activity here in reference to the fee that someone's willing to pay in order to help manipulate the price. And then here's another one here from, let me see, this is from the dude, whoever the dude is. And so the dude, 11,000 followers, apparently followed by a good amount of people, but these are individuals who do their homework. And so I take it just to share it, give you some perspective as to how this is taking place. And so here, let me give you something here. It says the silver market traded 556 million paper ounces yesterday. It says the COMEX had 312 deliveries and the LBMA had 138. See the panic today trying to bring down spot just $2. Even though this was 3 hours ago, so it was more than $2. Last time it took 1 billion ounces traded to manipulate it that much. Keep stacking Patriots. So once again, 312 deliveries, 138. And so those are contracts that were up for delivery, physical delivery, as of yesterday. And over the last couple of days, the whole narrative has been bullion banks trying to scramble to grab physical to cover some of these contracts that they have on their books because people are no longer settling for just being cashed out. They want physical. And so hence the urgency to do any and everything possible to bring this price down because they can't afford to have deliveries at a price that is well beyond what these contracts were initiated at. Therefore, them taking a loss, the goal is to have the people take a loss, not the manipulators of the system. And so the scramble will continue. So long story short, there's no telling what the final price might get to in reference to the spot price. But as I mentioned, keep your eye on the physical possession because you will not be getting anything at, as it says here now, $48.90. You won't be buying that. So I'm sorry to say that, but the disconnect between the digital and the physical is growing. So yeah, this is just what's happening. Something we're paying attention to, and we haven't seen anything yet. And here is something to leave you on a more positive note. I bookmarked this because this is interesting. It said this is from Gold Silver Q. It says the current mining ratio is 7-1. Based on that, silver should be $605, which aligns nicely with the real inflation-adjusted all-time high. Bring it on. And so here you see this chart here of adjusted for inflation according to the M2, or more so, all the currency units in circulation as of today. This is what we're looking at. Something closer to, say, $668 an ounce. Now, if we ever get to that point, that's a whole other can of worms. We'll talk about that when we get there. But in the meantime, stack heavy, my friends. Enjoy the moment and don't be discouraged. If you find some deals or know of anybody out there selling on the cheap that you trust, drop a link in the description or in the comment section, or let us know via the comments who you keeping your eyes on, who's supplying out there that is more affordable, because then again, the community can participate. So once again, I'll leave this to the community to verify and validate the buyer or the seller rather. But other than that, this is just what's happening. The silver slaughter is real, people.